put your oxygen mask on first before helping others. You ever hear that before? If you've ever flown in your life, of course you've heard that. It's kind of weird though, isn't it? The oxygen masks fall from the ceiling and I'm supposed to worry about me before I can help the person next to me? What if it's my son, wife? What do I do? It's still supposed to be you first, but why? Well, because until you're okay, you can't possibly help those around you. So this is what I get a lot because people look at America, and that's what's happening right now to America and how sad and crazy it is out there, and they want to stop it. Hey, Jesse, how do I help? How do I help? What do we do? What do we do? Well, have you looked after yourself first? Are you mentally ready? Are you physically ready? Are you in a good place to help someone else? Because if you're not, you got to get there first. There are a lot of people in this country that are in a very bad spot mentally. We can't allow ourselves to get there. We won't be able to help anybody. You want to be some 70-year-old man sitting there in diapers?
I am so glad that I am in diapers, and I am so glad that I am a little sissy baby girl. And I am so glad that I know that I will never ever have to be an adult ever again. And I just wish that everybody who wants to be a little sissy girl gets the chance to wear pretty clothes, they get the chance to wear diapers, and they get the chance to be a little baby girl.
You know what strikes me most about insane videos like that is the age of some of these people. That dude is my dad's age. My dad, who plays with his grandsons and rides horses and lives a normal life. Same age. Why so different? Joining me now, so I can't wait for this, Gad Saad. He's a professor, evolutionary behavioral scientist, and he has a new book out called The Saad Truth about happiness. Gad, okay, obviously there are about 10 million things I'm sure you could say about that ridiculous, insane video. But again, this is not some confused 14-year-old boy who's succumbed to weird societal pressures and a weird girl in high school. That's a gentleman with lines on his face. Should be working on his 401k. What?
Well, first, great to be with you, Jesse. I hate to say this, but my prophetic satire strikes again in the Parasitic Mind. When I am satirizing and mocking some of this stuff, I give the example of my announcing that I will be entering the under 8-year-old judo competition for people who are less than 70 pounds. And I called it trans-ageism and trans-gravity. If I self-identify of a particular weight, and if I self-identify as being, less than 8 years old, then you have to allow me to participate in that judo championship. I use judo, by the way, because my brother used to be an Olympic judoka. So that's why I use that example of the Parasitic Mind. And so my prophetic satire strikes again. There's nothing better than freeing ourselves from the pesky shackles of reality. And I think your clip shows exactly that.
Look, I know there's probably a million different ways to answer this, but you wrote the book on it, The Parasitic Mind, on top of your new book. How does a man get to that place? What is it? Is he just mentally ill? Is this drugs? Is this a cry for attention? I don't understand what I'm looking at. I know it's not right, but I don't understand what I'm looking at.
So in that particular case, I don't know because I have to know more about him.
Yeah.
But look, there's something very liberating about the possibility that we are not shackled by, let's say, our genitalia or our age, right? So and that's actually one of the things that I talk about in the Parasitic Mind, that all of these parasitic idea pathogens share one thing in common, and which is that they free us from reality. So take, for example, social constructivism, which is the idea that we are all born with equal potentiality. We're born with empty minds, and it's only socialization that makes us into Lionel Messi or Michael Jordan or Albert Einstein. Well, that's perfectly erroneous view, but it frees me from reality because it basically tells me, hey, look, my son could be the next Lionel Messi or Michael Jordan. So each of these idea pathogens, Jesse, in a sense, are quite liberatory And in this case, this gentleman is saying, look, I'm not a 70-year-old man. I am an 8-year-old girl. And boy, it's lovely and liberating for us to be anything we want to be on any given Tuesday. It's insane, but that's the world we live in today.
Yeah, that is insane. You know what? I'm glad you brought up insane, because I was marinating on this yesterday when I was driving to work. I can't let this go. I'll never be able to let it go. There's so many parts of COVID I'll never be able to let go. But one of the ones that really hit me was every part of the system selling a lie right off the bat. From the stupid social distancing, which sounds like a child came up with it, to the idiotic mask, one-way aisles in the grocery store. It was like all of society went nuts. Not one part. All of society went nuts. And so many people went along with it. Why did so many people go along with it? I remember so many times looking around with just my jaw hanging open thinking, what? When did everyone lose their mind but me?
Well, I think it's a form of govern me harder, daddy, right? It's wonderful and again, liberating for someone to be telling me exactly what to do at any given moment. So some of us are very, we're free thinkers. Don't tread on me, don't tread on me and so on. Others say, look, I want to subcontract every one of the minutia of my life to someone else. And if the government tells me to do X, Y, or Z, I don't ask questions and I do it. So I really think it comes from that. I should mention, though, Jesse, that one of the reasons why you and I might have been a bit more reticent to wear the mask, I just discussed this actually on my YouTube channel. A study came out showing that people who are less physically attractive are more likely to want to continue to wear the mask. And I'll speak for both of us. We're both extremely good looking, and therefore we resist not giving this as a gift to the world.
Yes. You know what, Gad? That's a really good point. I just didn't want to deprive anybody, even if it killed me. I wanted them to be able to gaze on my wonderful
You're just
face.
a generous guy, Jesse. You keep giving and giving. You're just that kind of guy.
Okay, all right, Gad, I want to nail down on something you just brought up. The subcontracting out parts of your life. I understand that. I do. I understand that the human nature is many people kind of want to be slaves. That is just the history of the world. It's a simpler life. Maybe not a better life, but a simpler life. One part that I'll never understand, though, is how family treated family. I call it the great sorting. But look, I could show you a million emails. I'm sure you've had them. Mothers whose children wouldn't let them visit anymore. Children who wouldn't let their parents visit anymore. Brother cutting off brother. It was odd over something that really wasn't that serious. Help me explain how you could be so manipulated that you would just blow up your whole family for it. That doesn't make sense.
Well, I actually recently gave an example. It was a few months ago. I had tweeted out, I know you appeared on Tucker Carlson yesterday, and it relates to that, to Tucker. I had tweeted out that, hey, thank you, Tucker, for inviting me on to your long forms podcast. Thank you for being so gracious to my family and so on. A cousin of mine, Jesse, who went through the Lebanese civil war with me. So if you're thinking about, affiliative bonding, few things are going to link you to another person than when you're both gone through the Lebanese civil war. Publicly, he writes and says to me publicly on Twitter, are you serious? Or something to that effect. Have you no shame? So this cousin of mine who went through the Lebanese civil war was publicly repudiating me for saying thank you to Tucker Carlson for having gone on his show. And he was my closest friend growing up in Lebanon. So to your point, tribalism can be one ugly cancer, and being in a family won't protect you when you're viewing the world as us versus them.
Man alive, that is so sad, and it's so true. It brings, I have so many examples that are just like that. It's crazy to me. All right, your new book. It's about living a good life. This is something anyone with any ounce of character wants. You want to live a good life. I'm sure I haven't, but I'd like to. What's resilience have to do with that?
Well, I guess a nice segue is I just mentioned the Lebanese civil war. The fact that I went through some really horrible childhood stressors, while horrible at the moment, and while I had nightmares for 25 years after leaving Lebanon, it allows me to contextualize the horrors that I escaped with my daily grind. So if I feel like whining about something, And then I think about how lucky I am and fortunate I am to have gone through that, come out of it, and it has allowed me to be anti-fragile and have some resilience. I could always contextualize my daily whining episodes in light of what my life could have otherwise been, which is I could have been easily killed and executed. And so I think it is important to go through anti-fragile episodes that hopefully we can face and overcome. And that allows us to live every moment as though it's a magisterial moment. And I truly, or a magical moment. And I truly believe the fact that I went through the horrors of my childhood has allowed me to wake up every day and say, yes, sure, I might be feeling some stress today, but compared to where I could have been, boy, am I lucky to be alive. So from that perspective, some stressors are going to hopefully allow us to live a better life.
You ever miss Lebanon? I ask because one of my producers, his parents actually came here from Lebanon, and you can sense a fondness for it, a longing that it was better, I guess I should say.
Thank you. That's a great question. What I actually miss more than my returning to Lebanon, because regrettably the last year of my life there was really quite horrible, it's that my children have never gotten a chance to experience what it is to be Lebanese. Now, by the way, we're Lebanese Jews. We're part of a very exotic small minority of Jewish people who are from Lebanon. And I so regret that they didn't get to speak Arabic. They've never immersed themselves in many of the beautiful elements of Lebanese culture, the food, the hospitality, the friendship, and so on, which, I mean, it's not unique to only Lebanese people, but certainly in the Middle East, you've got this beautiful tradition of hospitality that regrettably, because I don't feel that it's ever safe for us to go back, they're missing out on. So I don't necessarily miss it as much as I miss the fact that my children haven't gotten a chance to experience it.
I got you. You miss it for them. I get that. Gad, thank you so much. Buy his new book. Outstanding. I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Cheers.